All right, welcome back to the program. You're watching AM Live on NTV. This morning I'm with Professor Gitile Naituli, governance expert, Arnold Maliba, public policy analyst. Fred Okango is joining us now, political affairs secretary Kanu, and Abdullah Alas is joining us from Mandera County, and he's become a farmer now, but he's also a governance and policy analyst. Thank you for joining us. I want us to just wind up on this issue. I know, Prof, you wanted to mention something, and then also give Fred an opportunity to talk about it as well. And of course, it's literally just about what has happened in terms of the Finance Act 2023, which now remains suspended as the court extended the orders blocking the implementation of the same. Now, Prof, you wanted to mention something very quickly.
Yes, one, I want to say that people like Abdullah are the best friends of William Ruto. Okay, not the not the sycophants.
How so?
Because you see, what you remember, you asked him the last question, you said that we need to take the Nindro now and the fear of the pain.
So yeah, because there must be a reason why, right?
What you said,
for a new president to...
That's what you said,
right.
But that's what he's objecting to, because that is a Kahola philosophy, okay, of taking the pain so that tomorrow is better. You never ever start that way, okay? Because this idea of taking the pain now, tomorrow will be how tomorrow can be better without you making good policies. Now, when you have a budget, that is allocating 44 billion to Parliament. Parliament is not building roads. Parliament is not building bridges. The 44 billion is for parliamentarians to enrich airlines and hotels international, flying all over the world. Okay? When you have, is it 1.2 or something trillion in the office of the, the combined budget of William Ruto, Kashagwa, and Mundavandi. When you look at that combined budget, and when you know that those offices, again, they don't have roads to build, they don't have bridges to build. So what we are saying here is... But
they have a government to run as the executive, right?
Exactly, but the government is being run in the ministries. It's not being run in the State House. So what we are saying here is simple. We need these people to suffer with us. If we must take the Nindro, the people in government must also take the Nindro. Okay? Now, what this Abdullah was saying about his policy of salary cut. If the president proposed 50% salary cut, I will gladly take it when it's affecting everyone. Because the problem is the cost of living is being increased by the people who are earning astronomical income. You know, this is what, in short, this is what these Kenyans are saying. When you have the richest people, are those who work with the government, and not the entrepreneurs, not the producers, then you are manufacturing poverty. And we have been manufacturing this poverty for 60 years. This is why people were so sold to William Ruto as a savior. Because he said the question of manufacturing poverty will come to an end. This is how we expected it to come to an end. To make the salaries 20% difference. Because that is the international practice between the lowest and the highest paid. So that we all take the pain together.
Okay.
But we are not taking the pain together. They are telling the public, take the pain. Meanwhile, the government, the mandarins are fattening, taking the biggest share of what the poor fellows are producing. That is not going to make the economy grow.
Okay. Let's hear from Fred. So about the whole issue about the court dealing a blow to the Finance Act.
Thank you so much. Sorry I'm coming late. I was walking to work.
Yeah.
You know, nowadays you walk to work.
Really, Fred, is it?
And a lot of Kenyans out there are walking to work, and I think it's a good thing. I feel fitter. I think it is important to understand that we have institutions that work. The court, and I said this, and I told my good friend Arnold here sometimes a few days ago, that the court will extend the conservatory orders. This regime had started to attack the courts. I remember when there were, I think somewhere in Western Kenya, they did say that, you know, the courts are being used, you know, these courts are not factoring the public interest in this matter. And that was Honorable Mudavadi. But he forgot that the reason why this matter has generated a lot of debate is because it is a public interest matter. And when it went to the courts, of course I don't want to talk on the merits and demerits of this issue, the courts saw it fit that with whatever was before them, they were compelled to give a conservatory order, stopping the implementation. Now, never mind that the regime, through its state organs, has blatantly disobeyed the court orders. The judicial authority comes from the people, and the people have given that authority to the judiciary to exercise it. The courts, through the judiciary through the courts have said, stop the implementation of this punitive Finance Act 2023 until such a time both parties are heard and the matter is determined. You know what they did? EPRA went ahead and inflated or increased the cost of fuel. Today, as we speak, majority of Kenyans are suffering. And in my view, I think the extension of the conservatory orders to 10th, when the new direction will be given, is a good thing. It's a relief to majority of us Kenyans. And I think those who are pushing this agenda by fire, by force, should understand that Kenyans are watching. And even the courts that they are now trying to disparage are independent institutions. They cannot direct them from their seats, from their puffed walls, from their protected houses. They cannot do that.
All right.
They will not do that because the people of Kenya understand that today as we are, the only savior that will help secure their lives is the courts, the media, and the people themselves.
I want us to move away from that particular issue now and get to something else that has been happening because we've taken quite a bit of time on that particular matter. But this is also what is captured on the Daily Nation this morning. Inside Ruto's meeting with Nyanza ODM members of parliament, you can see a picture there of President William Ruto, his deputy Rigathi Gachagua, with some of the members of parliament from Nyanza at State House. So that was on... actually, the picture here is from the 10th of February, but President William Ruto's extensive tour of Luo Nyanza dominated the conversation when he hosted some ODM MPs at State House, Nairobi on Tuesday afternoon. President Ruto met with some of those leaders. You have Gideon Ochanda from Bondo, Karoli Omondi, Elisha Omondi, Paul Abor, you also have Professor Tom Ojenda. Now, also present was ICT and Digital Economic Cabinet Secretary Eliud Owalo. Now, writing on his official Twitter handle, President Ruto said he intends to work with all leaders regardless of party, tribe, or region. He did not go into details of the meeting with the MPs from Azimio leader Raila Odinga's staff. But this meeting is coming ahead of the president's planned tour of Homa Bay and Siaya counties next week. The head of state expected to be in Suba South and Karachuonyo constituencies on the 23rd of this month. And later in Odinga's backyard of Gem and Bondo on the 24th of July. We have a report here that was filed as well by Sydney Chazima on the same end. The ODM party is also planning to initiate tougher disciplinary measures on some of the members drawn from the party who yet again visited the president. ODM chairperson John Mbadi telling NTV that the party's Central Management Committee is awaiting a report for that report on the complaints raised by the members of parliament with an aim of forwarding it through the party's chain of management for further action. Let's listen to that, then we'll come back.
Just a day after President William Ruto yet again played host to ODM legislators at State House, it appears ODM's disciplinary structure has been activated. According to ODM's Central Management Committee chairperson John Mbadi, some of the legislators may face disciplinary action. So where it is likely to sign the letter this afternoon to refer the cases to the to the disciplinary committee. So the Central Committee had given the go-ahead to refer the cases, some cases, not all, some cases to the
disciplinary committee.
This move appears to have been triggered by comments made by Langata Member of Parliament Felix Odiwuor, who on his Twitter retorted that their resolve to work with the president was not a gimmick and that they will support the president through and through. Narok Senator Ledama Olekina castigated the move, calling on the legislators to resign. Jalango's comments come at a time when ODM leader Raila Odinga is planning to launch an onslaught against the Kenya Kwanza administration from Friday. President Ruto's move has been seen as a counter-offensive to scuttle the plans. The ODM leadership is vowing to tighten the noose around the rebel MPs, but is wary of a repeat of the Aisha Jumwa fiasco.
We are tightening all the possible loopholes. You know, this is a process. I think Malindi MP, the mistake was just one, that the chair of the disciplinary committee held a meeting without a quorum. That was it. It had nothing to do with the procedure.
Should the Orange Party have its way after due disciplinary process is followed, the legislators will stand kicked out.
Very good.
The rebel legislators have termed their State House visits as development motivated, but one may question their motives now that the NGCDF fund already at the disposal of the MPs exists for development purposes in their respective constituencies. Sydney Chazima, NTV.
All right, on that note, allow me to first begin with Abdullahi, and I'll give opportunity to Arnold because it seems you might be outnumbered over here a little bit. But anyway, Abdullahi, when we're looking at that report, you have what some term as rebellion within Raila Odinga's own turf. That is members of parliament affiliated to the ODM party, sort of changing their affiliation to the party and now to President William Ruto. And some say this is also President Ruto's sort of, view it as his move to tame the anti-government defiance by the opposition. But it is also a right within these own members of parliament to choose which side they wish to, side with. What do you make of it?
First of all, I think what is happening to the members of parliament is because Raila Odinga never wanted them to go there. So it's not about the party. It's about Raila Odinga not wanting them to go there. It has nothing to do with ODM. ODM is a party registered in Kenya. These are members of parliament elected by people. The State House belongs to the Kenyan people. Ruto became the president, whether he likes it or not. He's the president of the Republic of Kenya. What Ruto is doing is two things. As you said, one is the trying to infiltrate ODM and make sure he has the voices. Two is the campaign of 2027. I heard Arnold saying that Ruto is not campaigning. Ruto started campaigning when he appointed the 22 cabinet secretaries, more than 40 PSS, more than 50 ambassadors are still yet to come. All that is in preparation for the men and women who are going to help him in 2027. The other one is why he wants to go to Nyanza and going back to Homa Bay and those places is to make sure that he does not only rely 100% on central Kenya. There might be a revolt a year or two to the election. You never know. So he has to have a backup plan. Go to Coast, go to Eastern, go to, Kambani, go to Western Kenya. You have seen the Luhya community have gotten a big share now in this government, more than, the last government. I mean, the Luhya community or Nyanza nation will also be represented. That
Isn't it too early to talk about 2027? Don't you see it as an olive branch that President William Ruto is extending to those within the opposition ranks?
Unless you're very naive in this country, the next, election campaign begins the moment you're sworn in. Members of parliament, everyone else will still be thinking about the next election. That's why we have these chaotic scenes in the country where the economy and the politics is becoming, narratives are developed, and we are getting very busy. What we need to do is to hold Ruto accountable on what he promised. That said, politics of 2027 gear is on, whether you like it or not. Why do you go back to Nyanza all the time? Why do you employ more people? Why do you receive more people? Why do you take development? I mean, Ruto does not love that part more than, in Northeastern. There are people who come from there, they have votes. If that part was better than Kenya, in Bungoma yesterday you saw, class 4 and class 3 were sharing one class. The students were facing one of the constituencies. Class 1 and class 2 were sharing. Now, what I'm telling you is this. When policies are not thought of developing the country, in my village, you have people from Kenya Ukambani area doing business. They are suffering like us because we have no good roads.
All right.
They are suffering like us because our hospitals have no, maybe drugs. What I'm telling you is this. What happened between Kericho and the other day accident? How many people died there? Bad policies in this country will kill everybody. Bad policies in this country will not develop one region more than the other. These political gimmicks where politicians and a few people will get Kenyans are poor. I come from the second poorest county in this country after Turkana and some other ASAL counties. What we need is to make sure that they say they're going to improve agriculture. He's a PhD in agriculture. I am a farmer now. Now, providing fertilizer only, does that yield anything? You need weeding. You need insecticide to do. You need labor for the farmers. You need ploughing machines. There are other components that involved in these things. So this pronouncement of building narrative in the country will not change much. Will not change much. So politics at play. Ruto is playing politics. We have other Kenyans who can say, Raila, you know what? You might be the opposition leader. Oh, yes. We cannot just sit and wait for you when you have no... Raila has no powers today to influence anything in government as in terms of development. This is Africa. The president and the state is a very powerful person. That's why you see what Ruto is doing. The cabinet secretaries are overshadowed by him. The members of parliament are given instructions by him, whether you like it or not. So what we are saying is this. Those guys, through their wisdom, if they go to State House, there is nothing wrong with that. If you want to remove them, the moment you say you're going to remove them through a disciplinary action, they are going to court. The courts will take 2 to 3 years. That is already 2025. So what are you going to discipline? There is nothing you can do about a person from a party going to the president and talking to you about issues of concern in a country where institutions were supposed to work, but people still decide what happens here or what happens there. You saw what happened in Molo, where he gave them 3 million to the church. You know, he's building a factory here and there. Logan has been opened. I mean, he should come to Mandera and give us also development.
Okay. Yes, Arnold.
You know, I'm trying to come to terms with the fact that ODM wants to discipline people for meeting the president. Kenyan people, Kenyan leaders, they meet the president and a party institutes. What really defines what is rebellion is meeting the president to speak about issues in your constituency, for example, like a leader. Is that how you define rebellion? You know, it's so funny that ODM is, or rather that particular side that is Azimio now, is that it is allowed and it is okay for the party leadership to want to meet the president, to make calls, but it is wrong for the foot soldiers, the rank and file, within the same movement to actually make it. So these foot
soldiers belong to a coalition party that has
where the leadership is trying to reach the president, even talking to the president and doing tea with him, but it is wrong. So is rebellion defined by your rank within that particular organization? Or is rebellion only doing what the party leader does not want? I saw Abdullahi speaking about it's Raila, it's not the party, it is Raila who did not like them to go there. What Abdullahi does not know is that there is no difference between the person he spoke about and the party. So a lot of times, I'm actually looking at that line and we're talking about tokenism, right? Politics of tokenism and everything else. As in, at least for the guys who did graphics and the editor who actually put in that particular line, they should actually appreciate that we are in the era of the Constitution 2010, where development is no longer something that works with the president. I have said that a lot of times here, that besides the 3 principal functions that we know about parliament, that being representation, legislation, and oversight, one important function, and I love to make it stand alone, for parliament, and parliament in itself is actually the manifestation of the people, the 55 million of us as a government. So when you look at parliament, you see the people. If you do not like that parliament, I've actually had one of the panelists say that we do not have a parliament. We have got a parliament. That particular parliament is the manifestation of the people of Kenya as a government. And democracy is like milk. The best substance in milk is normally the cream. It comes on top. So those people are a representative sample of who we are as a people. We made a choice less than a year ago. We might not like it, but that is exactly who we are, because democracy, you can never find a crocodile being the leader of flies or a cow leading snakes. It is always one of their own kind. So when the president, we actually have taken time to go that lane, when the president goes to Nyanza, we should not treat that as unprecedented. We have got a participatory government. We have put resources in parliament. And that budget making, parliament today is a budget making organ.
But the
and
question
that we
is,
as a people,
when you have
so
ODM members of parliament whose political party has taken a stance
of not meeting the president?
By meeting the president, but you know the political party leaders have taken a stance.
Look at this.
Do not accept
I am sorry to say this,
right?
but a Kenyan citizen, any Kenyan citizen who wants to meet his leader, for whatever reason, a Kenyan citizen
doesn't belong with the president, does it?
That's why I'm actually saying that we cannot then use the word tokenism, because the president is simply reaching out to any person in this country who wants to meet the president. It should not be criminalized unless anyone wants to start terrorist tendencies.
So it is within their right as
yes, they are leaders, and there is nothing wrong. By the way, you are sitting in a parliament earning salaries from...
Okay,
can I just finish? Let me execute this.
Right.
Let me execute this.
All right.
You sit in a parliament as a member of parliament of Kenya. You earn a salary from a finance act endorsed by this particular president. You pass policies and discuss that where a president, this particular president presides, and when you meet him, you are disciplined for that. How do you discipline somebody for meeting the president?
Okay, let's hear from Fred on that, then I'll get to
Actually, I'm very shocked at what Arnold is saying.
Why?
The reason why I'm shocked is because Arnold has said we are in a new dispensation, the era of the new Constitution of Kenya 2010. These gentlemen, Karoli Omondi, Jalango, the other guy, Ochanda, and the team, the media calls them rebels. You know, rebels, the meaning of rebels means these are people who are very dangerous.
But they have rebelled against the
maybe
party,
they are political rebels who are dangerous to the
But their own political party calls them rebels, right?
So if they're rebels, I agree with that. In fact, I love it. But now, why are they going to State House? What have they told their constituents? Who put them in office? You know, the role of a member of parliament, particularly the National Assembly, is to address the issues of concern to the people. They have told us they are going to State House to look for development. Let me remind the people of Kenya watching this show today. In this new dispensation, the Constitution of Kenya 2010, that Arnold is referring to, access to services, it is the duty of every state organ to ensure that all those services are accessible to the nature or to the extent that is possible based on the nature of that service. So it is not the duty of the president to dish out, or not the duty of William Ruto to dish out development to any member that he feels that he should work with. It is not that. Number three, you know, these rebels, Jalango, Karoli, Ochanda and the team, are members of Azimio coalition party. And by that fact, they are members of ODM as a constituent party. When the Constitution of Kenya established political parties in Article 91, they gave the basic requirements of political party. And the Parliament enacted a law called Political Parties Act. In that act, Zainab, in that act, it governs how politicians conduct themselves. But let me take you back slightly. We have been saying, and people are saying, you know, they have a right to associate with that. That's okay. That right, Article 37, does not guarantee them to disrespect or violate any other law that governs political parties. That right, you can go to State House, you can have tea and mandazi, and then go home.
Let me ask you, which
law have they violated by meeting the president?
I'm telling you, shortly. So I started by saying what they are saying they are going to do at State House.
Which supersedes the other? Their mandate as representatives of the people of Kenya and the people they represent within the constituencies, or their loyalty to the political party?
Okay.
Which supersedes
their loyalty to the Constitution supersedes any other thing. And I want to explain
and
if you give me time.
And the Constitution outlaws them to meet the president?
The Constitution does not outlaw anyone to meet anyone. No. Even Arnold this morning, I can take you to Raila Odinga and shake his hand. The Constitution does not prohibit you from doing that. But listen, these are members who have gone to State House claiming that they're looking for development. There is no development in State House. The development is found in Parliament, where you legislate, oversight, and represent. Let me just finish.
All right.
Now, there is this Political Parties Act, Section 14, that demands of Jalango, Karoli, Ochanda and company that they must not in any way openly manifest ideology, policies, or interest of another party. They have gone out publicly to say they are going to manifest the ideology, the policy, the interest of UDA, or by extension, Kenya Kwanza.
How? By meeting
That
the...
is a lie.
No.
That is a
They
lie.
have said that, and you can check those records.
That's a lie.
And they have said they are going to work with the UDA going forward. When they were doing those recruitments in Homa Bay, you remember?
Is there
Now-
parliament for ODM? For
now,
example, they still work with UDA in parliament.
Arnold, just be a gentleman.
Okay,
So
finish
as
so
I
that
finish
we can
that
hear from
statement,
Prof. Yes, just
as I
wait.
finish that statement,
Okay.
it is important for the people of Kenya to know that a member of a party can only be expelled from that party if that member violates the constitution of that party and having been given a fair hearing. What ODM has done, and that's what we are reading and what we are being told, is that they have started a disciplinary process that will accord them a fair hearing. So it's not that they're just going to be chased away. They have been summoned, they've been given letters. Let them present themselves and explain this Mandazi and tea they were having a state house, was it part of the development? And this development that they're talking about, is it not what they're supposed to do in the house to legislate?
All right, let's hear from Prof.
I think we are missing the point here. The point is not that some MPs have met the president. Not at all. The point is, what is even the point of meeting the president? Okay? Because you see, our development is in the budget in all the regions, okay? And what is the budget is what will be implemented. The president has no money assigned to that. So the issue is not, they are not even looking for development. But party discipline, in my opinion, is primary here. But what is even more primary, what the example you are seeing there, is that did you ever see Kibaki receiving defectors anywhere? Because Kibaki is our best performing, no, Mwai Kibaki is our best performing president so far. But did you see him entertaining any defection from anyone? He did not. Because he was doing the right thing and he did not need loyalty of anybody. He needed only the loyalty from the people of Kenya. So when you see defection like we saw with the MPs from northern Kenya, immediately after the election, and when you see defection from what you are seeing now from ODM, then you get worried. Then what you see is a politician. You are not seeing a leader, actually. You are seeing a politician. There are two types of leaders, okay? There are what we call transactional leaders. These are leaders who every undertaking they do is a transactional, strict transactional, business transaction.
Okay.
There is also transformational leaders. The transformational leaders change society. And in the process of changing society, you don't need any function. All you need is good policy. And in good policy, they will go through that parliament, because parliament is supposed to be people's representative. So you don't need personal, direct loyalty from anyone. So the bigger picture here is we have transactional leadership across the board. And we are missing transformational leadership. We saw that under Kibaki. We haven't seen that under any president before Kibaki or after Kibaki. Because Uhuru also was fully transactional. And the unfortunate thing is, William Ruto, to me, is one person Kenyans expected to be a transformational president. But all his action since being sworn in as president has been transactional. So this is the problem we are having with those MPs. It's not that they are meeting the president. They should meet their president. There is absolutely nothing wrong with that. The problem is, why? What is the point? The president is supposed to do his job, and the MPs are supposed to legislate for us.
Okay. So I think there's going to be a huge debate on that and really the legality of the same. But, you know, they think there's still much more to discuss. But on our conversation today as well, it is about tomorrow, which essentially what Raila Odinga and the Azimio One Kenya coalition term as a mega maandamano rally coinciding with Saba Saba. That's the 7th of July. And it's 7th of July is a very significant day, Saba Saba, in terms of the democracy of our country. And on Sunday, he was in Siaya County together with other leaders. I want us to hear what he said as we move forward on this particular matter.
Wakenya wamekataa kupandisha kwa ushuru. Na sasa wamesema kulingana na katiba ya Kenya ati uwezo yuko mkononi ya wananchi wa Kenya. Na wakati huu tukianza huo mpango, tukianzisha huo mpango ya maandamano, hatutakuwa na kikomo chake. Baba atatufikisha. Baba atatufikisha. Msiwe na wasiwasi. Wakenya walisema kwa kura ya maoni 95% ati hawataki gharama ya maisha ipandishwe, hawataki ushuru ipandishwe. Wakenya walikataa. Hawa jamaa wanataka kupandisha hali ya maisha na nguvu na kifua. Wakenya mpaka wakatai. Tarehe 7 mwezi wa 7 Ijumaa ijao, Wakenya wote Kenya mzima watajitokeza na kusema kwamba enough is enough. Punda imechoka.
All right, so those are the statements that were made on Sunday by Azimio leader Raila Odinga and of course other leaders within Azimio ranks on Saba Saba. And this big maandamano, well, this is not the first time that the Azimio team is undertaking, maandamano and going to the people to talk about issues. Is it going to be any different this time around? And this is coming on the back of really heavy times for Kenyans in terms of the high cost of living, and they are riding on that particular matter as well to say that we should, as Kenyans, come together and talk about this. And this is in defiance to some of these taxes that have been proposed by the government. I want to hear from Abdullahi on the same. What do you term this maandamano? And I asked that on our poster. Is it a call for the masses, a genuine call for the masses and Kenyans really, or is it just political expediency for just a few, especially within the opposition, riding on a situation that Kenyans find themselves in right now?
Well, I think, Zainab, Raila wants to remain afloat politically, but Saba Saba and maandamano now, that in 1990, many Kenyans who protested in most of the parts of the country were feeling that the state was repressive and they needed to, show some defiance. It is the right of every Kenyan. If the state is not going well, we defy the state because we own the government, we formed it, we pay the taxes, we employed the president. So if their policies and the pronouncement do not seem to support us, it is constitutionally okay to defy, and go against whatever they are saying. But now, will it achieve much? Yes, it will put pressure on government. If they demonstrate, someone might die, people will be tear gassed. It will grip anxiety in Nairobi. I was there. Remember discussing these things in the studio when maandamano was going on. I mean, if Raila says tomorrow there will be maandamano in a place or Nairobi city, you and I knew that 6 a.m., 90% of Nairobi, CBD of Nairobi County was almost paralyzed. Lee was not opening, that is generating income. So to some extent, yes, it is going to put pressure on government. But is it for the people of Kenya that Raila is still doing that? To some extent, yes, but the underlying card is his own, popularity to remain afloat politically. He has done that before, yes, but we remember what the handshake did to him. Now, what is this all going to do? I agree with Aaron that we have a political culture that is very, very, backward. This idea of idolizing individuals, this idea of after even the 2010 constitution. But now we are still ethnically divided country. our people. Kenyans have not gone to a place in this country that's saying, I don't care who becomes the president. I don't care who becomes the member of parliament. But now, am I going to get roads that are going to help me so that I don't, kill my children in the road? Am I going to get doctors who are qualified enough in these hospitals? Am I going to, get KEMSA producing quality drugs in this hospital? Because if it's about some few having hospitals, Kenyatta Hospital is full of sick, poor Kenyans, yes. But equally, Nairobi Hospital, Aga Khan, and all expensive hospitals in this country are equally full. So it doesn't mean when you are earning 2 million, you won't get sick. There's a time, I think was the 10th or 11th parliament, a certain percentage had cancer, non-communicable diseases. So the thinking of the Kenyan mind should be, what is good for all of us is to have a good policy that is going to help all of us. I mean, the people in northern Kenya who came from parts of other parts in, Nyanza or other parts of this country, they're equally suffering because the roads are not passable. Insecurity is affecting us. They can't board a bus, so they have to pay 16,000 to take a flight, the most expensive flight in this country. So Raila's agenda is pursuit of power, yes. But now in that, what is the agenda for us? What is the agenda that UDA government or Kenya Kwanza government will want to do? If it's about talking about Raila or talking about abusing each other, that is not a policy. It is not going to reduce, cost of pricing. It's not going to. EPRA must be punished. I agree with what people are doing. If the courts have said that this bill has been, there's a court order to that effect, why should they inflate the price? We wait until the court. Otherwise, the law is meant to protect us from each other and to protect the government from us. That's why if I am arrested as Abdullahi Mohammed in Mandela, I was arrested before for political pursuit. I was taken to court. If that does not happen, then we'll take guns. Then we'll go the Libya way. We will go to DRC way. We will go the Somalia way. No, that's not what we want. We want a country. And I shared a video yesterday of Uhuru Ruto saying, the constitution is not merely a document. That is a very strong statement. The constitution of Kenya is not merely a document. No, it is a document that we all agreed this is how we are going to be governed. And if there will be dispute within us, we will go to the constitution, we will go to the acts, we will present evidence before the court, we will file a petition, and we will not take a gun and kill each other. We will not take rungus or pangas and machetes. And no, that's what we agreed as a country. After the 2010 constitution is to say, we will be civil in this country. We will use the law. Now, Raila Odinga has the right as the political icon of this country to protest. Yes, do not allow people to be hit by machetes. Do not allow other Kenyans' shops to be looted. It will change from right to protest to be a criminal. If that happens, then the intention was not to protest, but now to create chaos in this country. Law and order must be maintained, making sure that Kenyan property is not looted. But do they have the right to demonstrate? Do they have the right to picket? Yes. I still support they should, because that will put pressure to the government. If William Ruto is not going to tell EPRA to secede what they are doing to us, we will support the defiance.
Or just political expediency?
What is organized tomorrow, if it's actually a replica of what we've seen in the past, then it defiles the blessed memory of the Sabasaba of 1990. Or even the very origin of Sabasaba being the 1954 TANU protest in Dar es Salaam then. Because the 1990 Sabasaba was about free election, free, fair elections. At that particular time, I'm told it was quite basic. They just needed free elections. The fair, verifiable, and everything else, of course, have been the quantifiers we've put in over time. So if it's the same thing that we've seen, then they are defiling the memory of Sabasaba, because the current people who are calling, the group that is actually calling for the maandamano on Sabasaba and using Sabasaba to gaslight as a nation and join them to railroad us towards that end, guilt trip the nation and move us back to make us emotional, and we remember the 1990 and how it was. These people do not believe in free elections. The people of 1990, the Sabasaba then, were asking for democracy. These ones, they will, when I say that they do not believe in free elections, is that they punish the people of Kenya when they choose people On nomination, for example, we know that in their political parties, you could actually win a nomination, but if you are not politically correct, the same thing Kanu was doing, they now do it in their parties. They are not doing it in the spirit of Sabasaba. These ones here, they will actually lose an election, and when the court actually makes a decision, they will call it a koti bandia. These are people who we have seen. I know Abdullahi really escalated it quite fast and went radical. But you see, a lot of times when we speak about calling people for maandamano, we know what happens. You, Okango here, myself, Professor, and even you, Zainab, know that a lot of times it's licensed for people to loot, for people to be maimed. And we are told even by people who actually support those particular ends that if you do not want, if you don't want maandamano, close your business. But I will still close that business and somebody will loot it. I will be on my way minding my own business and somebody stones my car, stones me. So what is there tomorrow is, you know, at the end of the day, policy is quite very narrow. Whether it's public policy, individual, political, or whatever, there is short-term benefits. And for everything you do, because resources are not infinite, or rather resources are finite,
the bipartisan talks have stalled. So many things are not happening.
There are long-run consequences. What have we quantified the maandamano that Kina Okango are doing, what it cost our economy? Did it change? If that particular maandamano
wasn't doing a maandamano.
Yeah, he's actually a spokesperson of that particular end. So have we qualified or even quantified, have we done an audit on how much people lost? Those people, for example, might not have been supporting government. They were just minding their own business, trying to make a living for themselves and their children. But their businesses were destroyed. Matatus were banned. What did these guys do? They spinned that. So even as we do this, using the Sabasaba platform to push anarchy, to push anti-constitutional means, to do everything they're doing.
Is it anarchy, or do you see the significance of that?
It defies the platform that is Sabasaba. We cannot actually use a holiday.
Okay.
When I talk about holy, is that from a religious perspective, to actually do things that particular holy day should actually be redeeming us from.
I want us to hold on to that thought. I understand we have to take a very quick commercial break. We're going to be back with that conversation.
Safaricom Business is enabling organizations to connect, protect, enable, and transform their businesses by leveraging technology and innovation.
Through technology, we've been able to communicate, keep records, store our data, reach our customers, run our logistics. The future for both Space and Style and Safaricom looks quite promising. We are now looking to go into, digital selling to expand and improve our services and also ensure that our factory and manufacturing processes are actually quite sustainable.
Secure Fiber offers your business a fast, dependable and secure fiber internet connection. Visit www.business.safaricom.co.ke to explore our range of plans tailored to meet your business needs.
My shirt, a toss of lavender and a world of freshness.
Wash your clothes with Toss Lavender to leave your clothes with a lasting, irresistible freshness.
My name is Masi Kimani. I take care of technology for Nation Media Group. Every girl deserves a dignified life, and especially during their period cycles. It's really sad that in some instances it comes with a lot of shame. That you think 2 out of 3 girls cannot access sanitary wear is a really sad state of affairs. I think as an organization we want to change the narrative for the girls. I mean, when you have statistics that 25% of girls are going to drop out of school either because of lack of sanitary wear or because they do not have information about their cycle, so they fear, then it tells us that we have work to do. We have a responsibility as individuals and the nation as an organization to want to try and change this narrative for the girls. And that's why the event of Changing Cycles on 15th of July becomes very important for us. I will be attending the Changing Cycle event on 15th of July. You can buy your ticket on kenyabus.com. See you then.
Are you a Kenyan youth ready to unlock your true potential? Join us on the 14th and 15th of July 2023 at the University of Nairobi for the Skill Up Africa 2023 as we mark World Youth Skills Day and get the chance to gain insight on the skills that will shape your future and unlock your potential. Register now for free entry at kenyabus.com or call 0724 661 440 to explore 2 days of transformative experiences, empowering dialogues, and invaluable networking opportunities. Skill Up Africa 2023, unlocking the potential of Kenyan youth through skills development. Generation 3 is all about learning and having fun. Tune in every Saturday morning from 10 a.m. and learn cool and simple recipes, arts, dance, get our tongues twisted.
4 years fun, vote for the fun. 4 years as friends, vote for the fun.
Jog our minds with awesome riddles and dance some more.
I think it's a hedgehog because as many needles as it has, it cannot what? What was the question again?
Generation 3, every Saturday from 10 a.m. only on NTV.
Own your dream home for as low as 1.98 million Kenya shillings in Vipingo Kilifi. SMS Vipingo to 22365 or call us today on 0740 400 215. Terms and conditions apply.
All right, and welcome back to the program. You're watching AM Live NTV as we converse around what we expect to happen tomorrow on the plans by Azimio La Umoja One Kenya coalition to hold not what they say is a beginning of nationwide protests across the country in defiance of some of the proposals and some of the directives by the government. But Prof, your view on the same, did ask the same question, I'll ask you the same. Genuine call for the masses and of course what is happening in the country, or just taking advantage of really what Kenyans are experiencing at this point?
I don't know. I don't really think they are taking advantage. And I think we need to look at this, the maandamano in a broader context. Personally, I'm not so sure maandamano actually works. So I will do it differently. Okay. If I'm the one who's doing it, I will approach the whole thing differently than maandamano. But the philosophical underpinning of the maandamano is that they are disagreeing with the policies of the government.
Right.
The government says that let's suffer temporarily, because of believing everybody accepts it here, even the government accepts it here, but say that this is necessary for us to be happy tomorrow. And then the opposition says, no, wait a minute. That is Shakahola thinking. It's Shakahola philosophy of suffering now for a better tomorrow. And we can have it now because it says we must eat now.
But if there's no food now, where
then
do you
they
get
say
the food from?
our children need to go to school now. We need the medicine in hospitals now. We need the doctors now. So when you look at it that way, then it is ingenuine because the people's representative, that people elected to argue those points, are not doing it. They have become part of the executive. And then we say now, then we use Article 1, which is the residual power of the givers of power. The public has all the power. Sovereignty belongs to the people of Kenya. And the people of Kenya donate the power to the three arms of government, to parliament, to executive and to judiciary. And then they are saying now, because the people's representative has abandoned us, they didn't defend us against this bill, which will raise the cost of living further, then we want to return that power back to us, to ourselves. And that's why I'm saying I will do it indifferently, because it's illegal in the Kenya to form a government other than as prescribed in the constitution. But it's not illegal to form a people's assembly because we have not formed any government. So you can decide, I think Azimio in their wisdom, they probably want to limit their debate only with the presidency and not extend it to parliament. But that's why I'm saying I will do it differently, because the parliament arguably has failed the people of Kenya. The parliament should not have allowed very many provisions in that finance bill to pass, given the current situation. Because I can't see the value of reducing VAT on helicopters. Because if you are buying a helicopter, you are already a rich person. I cannot see the value of hiring 50 assistant ministers when there is 4,000 doctors unemployed.
So you're going to the streets to protest all these things.
So they are going to the street to protest all that.
Will it have any impact?
Yes, it will.
Did we have any impact from the last round of maandamanos that we saw from the opposition?
I did not see any impact, because the result of that was that they formed the parties to negotiate, and then the parties collapsed. But I think I said on this network that those negotiations will collapse. And the reason is for political power to listen to you, you need to demonstrate two things. You can assist them, then they will listen to you. You can hurt them, then they will listen to you. But you see, the opposition did not prove that they could do any of this, and that's why the talks had to collapse. Because if they prove they can hurt, then the government wouldn't have been serious in the negotiations. And there would have been no collapse, because the opposition really has no power. Okay? It is only the government which has power to sustain the negotiations or to remove the negotiations.
Really?
So,
but
yes,
the opposition have their representation in parliament before, right?
Yeah, but which represent in parliament?
The same
you
people
saw some
who
of them ran
talks.
away during the voting. So the opposition has no power neither in the parliament nor outside. But now they want to see whether the people are actually also with them. And if the nationwide demonstrations, which they are calling now, the turnout is good, then they can impress. Then the government won't be forced to go back, in my opinion, to the negotiations, because this is the only way problem are solved.
Okay.
The problem must be solved on the negotiation table. You can't solve them in the front, in my opinion.
Negotiation table, which certainly we've seen hasn't yielded any fruit so far. Is there any what is the agenda really when we're looking at the maandamano that, you know, Azimio as a spokesperson of the coalition really is trying to hold from tomorrow nationwide?
Thank you so much. First of all, tomorrow is 7th July, and it's a very historic day. Arnold said here that those who are now pushing for protests, the current protests that are being launched tomorrow, are not the same people that were pushing for the protests in 90s. Raila Amolo Odinga was there in electoral reforms of the 1990s. Raila Amolo Odinga was there in the multi-party democracy reforms in those days. Raila Amolo Odinga is here with us when the high cost of living is killing the middle class and finishing the poor. He is here and he's telling the people of Kenya that we have been there before and we can make it. Why are we here as a people of Kenya? We're here as a people of Kenya because we want the best for our country. We want the best for all of us. But we have in place a regime that has forcefully made up their mind and pushed through the throats of the majority of Kenyans a punitive act that is now raising the cost of living further. Raila Odinga is telling the people of Kenya that you have an opportunity to exercise your right through the sovereign power that you donated. Because we have been accused as Azimio that we have a representation in parliament and they were not there when they were needed. That accusation has been flying around. But people are forgetting that we have a regime that is weakening the other side so that they can have their way, to have a threshold in parliament that can enable them pass any legislative, punitive, good, bad, they have it. Now,
So who's
the
to
only
blame,
thing
really?
that we must do as a coalition is to go back to the people that are holding the donated power. And we are saying, we as Azimio, we abhor violence. We detest violence. We disregard violence. We don't want violence. This is our country. When it burns with all of us. And that's why we are saying picketing, demonstrating, civil disobedience must not be seen as violence because it is provided for in the Constitution of Kenya, inalienable right in Article 37. And that right cannot be taken away. What we are saying, and I listened to Abdullahi, he says that, you know, this thing will turn out to be violent. What is the role of the police? The last meeting that happened in Kamkunji was very peaceful. Why was there no violence? Because the police granted the permit or permission to hold it. They were there. And by the way, it is the criminals that take advantage of peaceful Azimio rallies to go out there and destroy property. We have said in our last statement 3 days ago at SKM Command Center, Raila Amolo Odinga, Martha Karua and Kalonzo Musyoka did tell the public that we are coming in peace. We don't want any form of violence. We want to demonstrate to the people of Kenya that indeed we can change things. When executive fails, parliament fails, the judiciary can take part in reforms, in issuing orders, and the people can take part by taking back their power and protesting and boycotting whatever they feel is not good. But somebody asked, these issues already in court, why are we going to demonstrate? The court orders that were given were not court order against protest. They were not court order against maandamano. They were not court orders against any civil disobedience, but they were court orders against the implementation of the Finance Act 2023. So, how are we going to do this? We have said that because we know for sure that we have tried everything, we started by listening to them. When Honorable William Ruto on 2nd of April said that, come, let's reason together. There comes a time when this country, no one is right, no one is wrong. We listened. We went and listened to him, and we gave him a counter offer. A task force was formed. This was to buy time. And that's why we have said we are no longer interested in any talks.
So what is
because
the end,
that talk
what
is
is
not
the
going to
end
yield
agenda
anything.
then? What is
The end
game?
agenda is to ensure that we deliver the Kenyans from the high cost of living
So how
by
does that
giving
happen?
them the right to know that if something is wrong, you must raise your voice and speak about it. The end agenda of this picket is to tell the people of Kenya to come out and speak. Today, as we speak here, the cost of living is skyrocketing. As we speak here, there are kids who are not going to school. As we speak, there are people walking to work, they have parked their cars. They cannot even afford a matatu because they don't have a shilling. That is an issue that every Kenyan must be concerned about.
So is it going back to the dialogue table? Is that where we're heading?
We have said we are not interested in talks. We are not going to go back to the talks. But we have told the people of Kenya that in these talks, you have seen every time it was us pushing them to come out and let's talk. Okay. Today, when the people of Kenya have told us that no, we are seeing a trend that every time you call us out to exercise our right to protest, they dangle a carrot through the talk. Don't go back to the talks. The people have told Raila Odinga, no, don't go back to the talks. Those talks are buying time. What we want now, we want food now. We want the fare to go down now. We want the punitive taxes to go out now. That's why it is in court. We are telling them, don't fear. We are going to Kamkunji. We are not going to Kamkunji to cause violence. We are not going to protest in Homa Bay, Kisumu, Kirinyaga, Muranga to cause violence. No, we are exercising our right that you cannot deny us. Okay. That right demand of us to be peaceful and unarmed. We shall do exactly that. What we are asking them, please, as we do this, protect the public property, protect the people and their lives so that we don't see any elements of criminality within us. That is what we are asking them. And as I finish, we also believe, Zainab, that Raila Amolo Odinga has the best interest of this country. If he didn't, today, Raila Amolo Odinga would not be who he is. We have seen election after election when Raila Amolo Odinga raises issues. At the start, people think that, oh, he's just making noise. Then you come to look at them critically, we realize what he's saying is the truth. We know for sure that the pending issues are huge. These pending issues are electoral reforms, electoral justice, the cost of living, the issues putting to a conclusion the 2022 elections, and there's an issue of multi-party democracy that we're talking about, where the current regime is actually trying to flirt with the Azimio MPs to build up numbers in parliament. We don't know what they want to do with those numbers. What if they want to change the laws so that they are super?
Isn't it for their own, these individuals to also hold their own loyalty for the party? But let's hear from
when they hold their own loyalty to the party, and that we are saying, if the party has cited them for an offense, then the party mechanism must deal with them as such. And as it is now, we are back to the people. If a member of parliament, whether Azimio or Kenya Kwanza, voted for this bill, and knowing very well that this bill is punitive, woe unto him. Because when it comes the right time that the people will say, no, you did not work for us, that time will reach and he will go home.
Okay, yes, I know. Very quickly.
First of all, I need to start here. When Okango here, Wakili, who is speaking for Azimio, tells the whole nation that Azimio abhors violence, it's the same thing as the Pope saying that he is not Catholic. I would quip, is the Pope Catholic? Moving on very fast, it's also important to actually put this forth and very clearly, that all the anarchists of old, including Julius Caesar, who is the father of all goons and a very good role model, at least in tactics, for what they are doing, have always had this particular tactic where you tell your foot soldiers to feed on the land. That as we go to a raid, we will feed on. So, and the road to hell is paved with good intentions. Okango has actually listed here some of the things they want to talk about. Would he, for example, speak about how that really worked under the handshake? Because it started this way, that is how they pushed and how they ended up there. Why didn't Raila and Uhuru Kenyatta, for example, achieve some of these things that they are raising? We had them then. There was almost 4 or 5 years where they were together, working together. They didn't do that. So you want to take us around and round and round and take us back there. But the long and short of what they are doing is this. Number one, every time they go to the street, they hurt the economy. So that's economic saboteuring. That is economic sabotage.
But is that their primary agenda?
Primarily, they know that is how, quote unquote, to hurt government. That if I hurt you and you get angry at government, that is how they get to government. They do that, and they know. Two, we know too well that they are putting the nation in instability so that we are in a spin. Now, Kenya, we are, and we've said this here a lot of times, that since 2002, we've been on a campaign mode. After election, people get into a campaign mode immediately. So we do a lot of politicking, we do a lot of sabotaging and everything else. So even as we go around, whatever is going to happen tomorrow goes back to one thing, the desire to have another handshake. All of us here agree that having more members of parliament, or rather, if we were to give Okango today 7 cabinet secretaries, let's say he's Raila and he's from Azimio, would that bring down the cost of living? No. But those are the things they are asking. If well, let's put it here.
Is it what you're asking?
That is what they are asking for. Well, let me just finish. Okay, let me just finish. Asking for campaign money to be refunded, the money they use for campaign. Asking somebody to get, where will William Ruto get money if it's not your money, to actually ensure that you want us to go slow this? No, let's talk about, as in people in political spaces know that if we refund Azimio their campaign money, will that bring the cost of living down? If we give Raila jobs internationally, will that bring the cost of living down? If we integrate them into government, we will only suffer one fate. What happened last time? That while there was no opposition, the government then, Uhuru Kenyatta, went on a run and messed up the economy. We cannot afford another handshake moment. The opposition should be the opposition, and the government will be opposition.
Some of the
issues. Just very, because I've not given Prof an opportunity.
Even as you give Prof opportunity.
All right. And then
Azimio Abdullahi coalition party led by Raila Amolo Odinga is not looking for any refund. Azimio coalition led by Raila Odinga is not looking for any accommodation in government. Azimio led by Raila Odinga and Martha Karua and Kalonzo are not looking for any state jobs. What we're looking for a way of lowering the cost of living. We are looking for a way of ensuring that every Kenyan enjoys a decent life as provided in law. Okay. That is what we are looking for.
Fred,
so all these things
Fred,
Arnold is saying,
Fred, one line.
These are Kenya Kwanza propaganda.
I was born on Saturday, Zainab,
okay.
but I was not born last Saturday, and he knows.
Is it propaganda?
I think what should worry all of us and worry the people of Kenya is what he just said, that these people are looking for an opportunity to go into government. That shouldn't worry us, because we should ask ourselves, why is going into government so profitable? Okay, to the extent that we do all these things so that we can go into government, we need to understand government is public service. Public service is supposed to be kujitolea, not an opportunity to enrich yourself, not to make it profitable. But what have we done as a country? We have made going into government so profitable that we have to do all these things in order to go there. So the other point he raised, which I think has merit, is the fruit of the handshake. I think the handshake was bad for Kenya because they are undermining democracy. You know, what we need to learn as a people is to accept the outcome of a proper democratic process. And then now you play your role for the 5-year period in the opposition. Because the idea
you feel the opposition is taking that role properly by actually...
Right now it is. Because there hasn't devolved any
by
other
picketing, by going to the streets, by civil disobedience, they are taking
that is the opposition role. That's what the opposition is supposed to do. But I think as a country we need to begin thinking about this situation where the government becomes more profitable than starting an enterprise. We really need to address that. Failure to address that, eventually our disagreement will cease to be civil. We may even turn into violence.
Right. Because it sort of invigorates the emotion of Kenyans.
Not just the emotion, but if that is the only place where you go to get the resources, so everybody want to get those resources at any cost. So we need to address that, and that's why I was saying Ruto will be a national hero today if he mandated the 50% salary cut across the board.
But would that solve the everything?
Okay, yes, it will go a long way in not making the government the best. You know, government right now is the best employer. But what is a government? It's not a producer. Government is a consumer of resources. So the area that produces nothing is where we have taken our money.
Okay. And I think we have to end it there. Abdullah, if you can allow me to just, I know I don't think we have any single minute to spare and give an opportunity. And I know there's much to respond to. But please allow me to wind up on this conversation. I feel like there's still much more that we had to have a conversation on. But the time is quite little at this point. And we have to go to the next show. But thank you, Prof. Gitile Naituli, Arnold Maliba, Frederick Okango, and all the best as you prepare for tomorrow.
To Patane Kamkun.
Oh, okay. Hopefully it's not what Arnold is saying. But yeah, Abdullah Alas from Mandera County Governance and Policy Analyst. And of course, I hope that your crops are, doing quite well in the Shamba.
We haven't received fertilizers. We haven't received fertilizers from Kenya Kwanza government in Mandera County.
Arnold, you have to make sure that we know about the fertilizer issue in Mandera because he's suffering as a farmer. The farmer is crying.
$1 put into livestock returns fourfold.
But look, we're almost, actually the credits are running now, but thank you.
You should actually get support.
Okay, good morning, have a good day actually, but I'll be joining you in a few, just minutes, perhaps 2 or 3 minutes, as I take you through your world. I'll be holding brief for Winnie Lubembe. Stay with us.